Everyone, I just want to welcome everyone to another week of Ollie Shorts. Today, we're going to be learning about thrifting with our friend Bobby, and she's going to have some great tips. I mean, I can tell from just the first slide, this is going to be very interesting. Thank you so much, Bobby.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's good to be here. Thanks so much. I uh, I find it almost kind of interesting that I'm talking about thrifting, but the reality is I've been a thrifter. I didn't really grow up thrifting. My family did do auctions growing up, but my parents didn't thrift at all. And so it was much later in life when I actually started to kind of realize that there were so many beautiful things to be found. Um, and Here I'm gonna find my it kind of for me started when I bought my first house. So I saw this cute little house in the early 2000s, kind of North Sioux Falls, and she needed a lot of work, and I didn't have a lot of money. And thrifting kind of became a regular part of my life at that point in time. And I know we all probably have different stories of what draws us to even want to be thrifters. I meet so many interesting people when I'm out and about shopping, and you really can't quantify what someone is going to be like if they enjoy thrifting. So I'm sure you all have different reasons for being interested in this topic, but that was my start. And that was over 20 years ago. And I think I would say it's kind of a regular part of my life now. And that's why I put together this little presentation. Oh, my cat. Oh, sorry, cat. My cat tends to like to run the computer screen, but a lot of people have different reasons for thrifting. And for me, I'm a graphic artist by trade. And so there's really a creative element to it for me. And that's probably one of the main reasons that I like to go out and shop for things that are used. Obviously, I think a lot of us, it is affordable. Um, in Sioux Falls, it's pretty accessible. There are lots of different ways that you can thrift for items. I think younger generations are probably more interested in the idea of the environment and um, not necessarily buying something new as a first practice. And I've really seen an uptick in that in the last couple of years. A lot of young people are into thrifting. And lastly, for me, it's also kind of a social thing. I do have a friend group and we love to go out together. So that might be one of those reasons, might be one of the reasons that you're here. And What I find is that over the years from talking about thrifting anytime I can, people ask me questions. And so today I thought we'd just kind of hit on some of the big questions that you sort of run across when you're a thrifter. And the first big question that people almost always ask me is, where do you go to find the good stuff? And that's kind of an easy question and kind of also the hardest question. I usually say to people, well, I kind of go everywhere. I hit places in town that I know have the best products, thrift stores, antique malls, estate sales. I also go out of town and go thrifting. My vacations usually have to do with thrifting. In the summer, I do garage sales, although I personally don't do a lot of garage sales. I think I'm probably missing out by not doing that as much as I could. And then the newest thing that I think a lot of people are doing is Facebook Marketplace. And I admit that I don't do a lot of that. I like to look at things in person. But there's tons of places that you can go and find good used items. And we'll talk about some of the differences and maybe some tips on the different places that you can go. Number one, number one place for me is just to go to local thrift stores. And what I was saying right before we started the chat here is that I've noticed that this in Sioux Falls in the last year, probably, like it really in the recent past, it's super busy at almost every thrift store in town. And if you're out there, you're probably noticing the same thing. This photo happens to be from the Union Gospel. And they have a great thrift store for clothing, but it's busy. It's pretty much busy wherever you go. And so I have found that I usually go early in the day. I work from home, so I can do that. Um, Obviously, there's quite a few Goodwills in town, and I will say that Goodwills are often very busy. They're also probably the more expensive end of the thrift stores here locally. And then you can also, there's a couple of really big antique malls and places to find maybe more vintage stuff. Out on the T exit, there's a couple of good antique malls. So there's places to go here locally, which is really nice. I talked a little bit about garage sales, but I will say that for me, estate sales are actually a little more fun. I do a lot of vintage shopping personally, and the local whole house estate sales are usually just, I mean, if nothing else, they're great entertainment. You do have to kind of be aware of how things go when you go to estate sales. So sometimes you can't just walk in the door. You actually have to sign up in advance, and then you're on a waiting list, and then you're able to shop. But for the most part, it's great fun. The thing that if you're one of those people that likes to get the best deal, I have found that you don't really deal at estate sales until discount day, which is usually the last day of the sale. And then things are, at very good prices and good discounts. So you kind of have to get to know that rhythm as well if you're into estate sales. Garage sales, I think you can make deals if you'd like to. So that's a whole different thing, and that'll be coming up here in the summer. I like to look for free stuff, and it does still happen. In this photo, I'm showing that old oak dresser, and I found that on the side of the boulevard in my old neighborhood, which was North Sioux Falls. And it was spray painted black, and it looked pretty rough. And if you're crafty, I mean, you can fix things up, and that's another thing I really enjoy doing personally. This one wasn't in the greatest shape, so I repainted it in some places and refinished part of it. And I personally enjoy the restoration process of old things. So I think it's great if you can find something that doesn't cost anything, it's probably worth your time if it looks like it's got potential. Um, I also have friends who ask me first before they throw things away, which I think that's just from knowing me over the years. People will learn to kind of say, hey, I'm getting rid of this thing. Do you want it? And it's kind of nice when that happens, just to barter or to trade or to be offered items from friends is really a nice thing. In fact, I just gave away some plants today. I had a friend stop by to pick up a plant that I was dividing and giving up. So free things are always good. Road trips, vacations. I love going to thrift stores in new towns, and around here, there are quite a lot of those. I use Sioux City as the photo here, and I do enjoy going there and thrifting. But even smaller towns are really fun to go to. I often go to Worthington, I'll go to Pipestone. Both of those towns have Bible-based or missions-based thrift thrift shops, which often have the best prices. So if you're going out of town, it's good to check and see if there's a thrift store there that you might be able to go to. So beyond that, I guess a lot of folks that I talk to about thrifting have curiosity about what have you found that's so good? I think if you don't thrift often, you don't really know what's available. So I thought I would maybe share the top three things that I feel like I have found over the last few years. This list is actually probably quite a bit bigger than three items, but I guess maybe these are more valuable things financially. And so I'll just share with you some of the kinds of things you can find. Furniture is hard to find in Sioux Falls right now, but if you can find it, it's gone up in price. Thrifted furniture is more expensive now than it has been before. But a few years ago, I was able to get this credenza for $50. I've had it for several years, so it isn't something I bought recently, but I looked it up as I was putting together this presentation and I saw that it does have some value online, a couple $1,000s now. I don't think anyone would probably pay that for it right now if I were going to sell it, but it's definitely worth more than $50. It's from the 1960s. It's in great shape and it's fun to own pieces like that, I think. And then because I also like really modern things and not only just vintage things, I was really excited when I saw these chairs, which are in the Museum of Modern Art in New York City. The chairs I saw weren't the originals, they're knockoffs of the original Pantone chair, but I found them in a little town called Emory, South Dakota, a couple years ago for, I think they were $20 each. I have two of them and they're great. They look exactly like the Museum of Modern Art chairs. And so even every once in a while, you can find something unusual, which I think is neat. Um, and then lastly, this KitchenAid mixer, which I think everyone has seen these and knows about these, but mine was $10. And I actually found it at a garage sale under a table in a box. And when I pulled it out, I asked the lady who was operating the garage sale if it was for sale. And she said, "Oh, yeah, it was my mom's. My sister and we all have new ones. So we didn't want it." And I took it for $10, knowing that really the difference between my KitchenAid from the 1950s and the current ones that are nearly $400 is very little difference. They're pretty much the same machine. So I feel like that was a great buy, and it actually had cake batter on it when I bought it. So it was well loved before it found me. Third question, as we click along here, is people ask me what kind of stuff, like just in general, what kind of stuff do you find? And that answer, again, is very varied. Depending on who you are, you might be looking for different things, but honestly, you can find almost anything at a thrift store. And I thought it might be fun just to go through some of the main things that you can find. I find that when I visit with people, I mean, they're looking for all kinds of different things. And I know I certainly look for certain things. So it's really whatever you want to find. But there is a lot of clothing in a lot of thrift stores, a lot of garage sales, and a lot of Goodwill stuff out there. The one thing that I would say is that it's really nice if you want to buy things every season. If you're one of those people that needs a new coat or needs a new summertime something, in some ways it's way cheaper just to check a thrift store first, and see what they have. I know I gained some weight last fall and I was like, well, I don't really want to spend money on a new coat. So I was able to go, I actually bought a couple coats, thrifting, and probably spent less than $20, 15 or $20 for two coats, which I think would have cost a lot more if I had bought something new. So shoes are something I really do. I've had great luck with buying really nice shoes at thrift stores. You do have to dig through a lot of really not nice things. But if that doesn't bother you and you find something that fits you and that looks like it's in good condition, I think you really find good brands of shoes at thrift stores. One mistake I've made is sometimes when I'm buying clothing, I'll just pick it up and think it's cute and buy it. And get home and realize that there's some damage. So I always tell people, be sure you really look things over. If it's something you can fix, that's not a big deal, but you can overspend even at a thrift store if you're not checking for the quality of the thing that you're buying. Kids stuff, of course, a lot of moms go to garage sales, especially for kids stuff, but I think that you can find really good children's items almost anywhere, including antique malls. I tend to like things like wooden toys, wooden puzzles, I think stuffed animals or dolls. I'm showing a doll here. All of those things can be cleaned if they're well-made products, and especially for toys and children's clothing, I think it's a really good thing to do. And I've actually gifted children's items to friends. I don't have kids of my own, but I do actually gift thrifted things because there's great stuff out there. And why not? So furniture, furniture is tougher to find in Sioux Falls. That is just the reality. We don't have a great source of thrifted furniture. I think Facebook Marketplace is where a lot of people go today for furniture, and you can find really good buys on Marketplace, but you have to be quick about it. This photo of this couch is in my sunroom, and that was a couple years ago that I bought that at the St. Vincent de Paul, which does have a little bit of furniture, but not a whole lot. So you kind of have to be a little picky about furniture, if you're looking for a specific thing. Anything seasonal, so holiday items, it's great to go to a thrift store. I'll be looking for Easter stuff now coming up. I just came off of looking for Valentine's Day things. I'm one of those people that will collect something, use it for a year or two, donate it back, buy something new, because I like to switch out quite a bit. But anytime there's seasonal items, fall is a great time to shop at thrift stores, Christmas. It's just great, and you spend so much less money. So I really enjoy that. And now I guess I just have one tip about what not to do if you're going to go out and start thrift shopping regularly. And that's don't buy all the stuff because I do tend to collect things, and I think that that is something that happens to a lot of us, is we don't really need the things always, and so you end up having a collection of things, and I enjoy having a collection of things. I just have to be really careful not to let it get too big. Sometimes I need to do a purge of some of the stuff that I've bought, and I try to do rules, like if I buy something new, especially for decor or clothing, then I have to donate something back. And that's a great thing to think about. It doesn't always work, and I let things build up. So don't be like me. I think that's what I'm saying about that. Other than that, those are some of the things, I guess, over the years that I've come to enjoy about thrifting. I don't know what the rest of you feel about it, or if you have questions for me, but
I do have a question from Facebook, Bobby.
you do, yay. Yeah, tell me.
Thea asks, do you paint wood furniture? I always debated if I should. What are your thoughts on that?
I really think it's about the piece of furniture. I don't think there's a rule, and there are people who think there is a rule. I'm gonna go back here. So I bought this little oak table a couple years ago. Someone had refinished it. It was used to be their mother-in-law's, and I bought it as is from Marketplace. I think it was like $75, maybe something like that. And I think it was beautiful as it is, and the person had redone it. It looked great. I like old wood furniture, but I also have stuff that maybe was chipped or in some way just would be more work than I was willing to put in it, and then I'll paint it. Um, I think you can do whatever you want to with thrifted things. It does bother me when I go to thrift store now and I see so many poorly painted things. Because we are kind of taking old things and crafting them up a little bit too much, I think. And but at the same time, if it's either that or the stuff is going to a landfill, I kind of think not going to a landfill is more important. So I don't really have rules one way or the other.
Great answer. Does anyone else have a question? If so, please unmute and feel free just to ask yourself. We've got a small enough group here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts, even just why you go thrifting or what makes it something important to you.
Hi, this is Jeanette. I was wondering, do you resell things to make money, or does all this go into your house and stay there?
Well, most of it goes into my house and stay there, but actually, yes, for the last 4 years, I've had a small booth in Tea, South Dakota, where I've
Okay.
sold mostly decor, but I'm actually closing shop here in the next couple months. So I'm going to be stopping doing that. Probably for that reason, that last slide that I was showing y'all, like I think you can tend to just have too much stuff, and it does get to be kind of a lot to manage. So I'm just going to go back to being a regular thrifter that's buying things for myself when I need them. I'm on the hunt for a coffee pot right now. My old coffee pot I could kind of use an upgrade, and I don't want to spend $100 on Amazon. So I usually have a little list of things that I'm looking for. And you have to be patient, I guess. You can't always find what you want on day one when you go out. So that's kind of what I'm at right now. I'm just simplifying a little bit. I'm not going to be reselling. So
Have you come down to shop in Vermillion at all? Because
I,
we
I
have
have not.
we have three thrift stores open right now, and we have a brand new Goodwill being built.
You
And,
do?
yeah.
Yeah, I would love to try out Vermilion. I don't know where, yeah, I don't really get, I mean, I drive to Sioux City, so I'm on my way. I'm not far from Vermilion. How do you feel about Goodwill? Do you
I
shop?
well, Vermillion hasn't had one, and the problem is we have what we call a civic council, and that's where you donate your things, and it's money that goes to different charities and different things in town.
Oh,
So we're all
yeah,
a little worried what Goodwill's
yeah.
going to do to that. So
Yeah, I mean, most of us who thrift do kind of know that Goodwill is not a nonprofit business. And it really has changed the whole, it's probably one of the reasons that reselling isn't maybe as fun as it used to be, in that Goodwill now takes like vintage things and pulls it from their shelves and sells it online themselves. So it's really tougher to find some of the cool old, like if you're into vintage decor, it's harder to find. And also Goodwill is just, I mean, it's probably 3 times more expensive than it was a few years ago. They really have raised their prices. I mean, all thrift stores have raised their prices, but obviously things cost more almost everywhere. So it's not surprising. But I do have mixed feelings about Goodwill. I do shop there, but not as much. If I can pick somewhere else, I'll go to one of those that helps the community or helps people a little more a little more
There,
intentionally.
there's a little store in Del Rapids called Padres that you can still find some good deals, but not furniture, just other
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Yeah, I do find some of these small towns. I really like Pipestone. If you haven't been there, there is on their main street, they have a really cute little, I mean, it's crammed with stuff. Again, not a lot of furniture, but I found a ton of really cute Christmas stuff this year there for very little money. Like we're talking 50 cents, $1 for items. So that's a fun place to visit if you get over to the Minnesota side of things.
We've got one more from Facebook. I know you covered this just a little bit, but Nancy Jean's wondering how useful you think Facebook Market is for thrifting.
Well, I've done both. I've bought on Facebook Marketplace and I've sold on Facebook Marketplace. And I will say that I honestly think it is pretty hot, and I do think it's good for furniture. The problem is that you can't really depend on it too much. So in other words, you can see an item, make an offer. I've made offers on things. People have said, yes, you can pick it up on Saturday, and then they literally sell it to someone else and you don't pick it up on Saturday. So you really can't put your heart into Facebook Marketplace too much, I think. But I also think, I mean, if you're looking for like a coffee pot, I could go on there today. I could find one and I could buy one. It's just a bigger audience of people selling things. And I do think, like I did say younger people definitely go there. So I think it's not going to go away anytime soon.
What do you think about Savers? Like maybe it's
Savers.
like,
I like Savers personally. I went to Savers a couple weekends ago and was looking for just I like dishware and things. I was looking for some springy like dishware, and I noticed that their coffee mugs, just one coffee mug was like $6. And in my booth at Tea, I have coffee mugs for $4. So an antique store is cheaper than Savers. So I think they do have a senior discount day on, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday, which is great. But other than that, I mean, they have nice stuff and it's fun to shop there. I'm more careful. I don't go there regularly. So
this is a question for me. What do you think is your favorite place? Just like say you were looking for decent clothing, where would you first hit up?
So I have a path that I go about once a week. And it's what I know. It's what I always do. 9 o'clock in the morning, usually Tuesday morning, but sometimes Monday morning, I will be at the St. Vincent de Paul on Cliff Avenue, along with other people waiting for the store to open. And usually there's maybe a half dozen of us that are there. Several of us are resellers, and I don't know if I quit reselling, maybe I won't be quite as regular at that, but I still think I'll go at that time of day. So that's my number one. And then from there, on Tuesdays, I'll drive downtown to the Union Gospel thrift store, which is a lovely place to go. I mean, they just do such good work in the community. They're helping people in the community, giving clothing away. So I really actually enjoy that, but they don't have a ton of stuff other than clothing. So you kind of have to realize that if you're looking for clothes, I mean, it's great. But but I always go there just in case. I buy a lot of artwork and they'll have artwork for really good prices. And then I usually drive across town. I live over by the zoo, so I will drive to a Goodwill on my side, whatever, as close as I can get. So I kind of make a little loop. And I try to do that once a week. So yeah. Yeah. And every once in a while I'll go to Savers. Every once in a while I'll drive across town to a Goodwill. But St. Vincent de Paul is, I think, the best thrift store in town. And they're building a new one on the on the west side of town. I think it opens next fall. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And for all of you who don't know, maybe Bobby is doing a full class for us this fall or the spring. Do you remember the dates, Bobby? I don't have my.
I want to say it's April 5th, maybe. It's the first week in April. And I'm gonna be in person, and if you're into like decor and decorating, I'm gonna really try to talk more about how to decorate your house, how to go about redecorating a room, and how do you even decide, what you're looking for. So it's gonna be a little deeper dive into decorating with thrifted items. So
That will be great. Thank you, everyone
Yeah.
else, for joining us today. And send some of your friends our way. We've got another Ollie Short coming up tomorrow about Girl Scout cookies. So that would be a great one. Same link, same time. And I guess if there's no other questions, everybody enjoy the beautiful weather we're having today.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.